Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. As you can see over here, I've installed Dark Multiplayer, and my friend has taught me a little bit about building rockets, and that's what we're probably going to focus on in this episode. So we're going to start up a new sandbox, and we're going to name it Rocket, simply because that's what we're going to be focusing on. And yeah, take the NASA flag and overwrite that game. Start her up. Okay, I've come up with a rocket design. I thought of it myself. It's been influenced by some other designs I've seen, but I have not copied this design to my knowledge. It might have. I mean, it's a good rocket design. It could have been built before. I'm not sure exactly how the symmetry works in this game, how many options people have to choose from. This is the one that I find works the best. Okay, so you're going to want to start with these two. I like the Mark 1-2 cabin, and I like this fuel tank because it fits. So first thing you want to do, stick this engine. Nope, not that one. What am I thinking? This one, right there. Boom. Just a tiny little engine. This isn't going to be your main engine, obviously. There's going to be a tiny little booster you got on the bottom. Next, you're going to take an XL stack decoupler, stick it on that. That hides your engine, basically. It means that you can layer more fuel tanks underneath of it. So, obviously we're going to do that. We're going to take this fuel tank, strap it on. This one, nope, snap it on. And I think we'll go one more. There. Perfect. Now we'll take an engine, and I think I'm going to go with this one. That's the one that I usually use, I believe. Now we're going to take a, we're going to start a symmetrical mode up. As you can see there, symmetry mode. Now let's take a hydraulics module and place it right there. Now finally let's take a kickback engine, the bigger ones, and stick it right on. Now it looks like they are all layered in. So, how does that rocket look? Yeah, that looks good. Okay, take the aerodynamics and put some nose cones on top of these. Okay. Finally, the last thing you're going to want to do, take an XL parachute, stick it on the top there. Now, actually you're going to need one more thing, which is going to be these stanchions to hold them in place. Now, to layer your stages out, you obviously are going to want to have the rockets fire first so you can build boost without falling off the stanchions. So stick them down there. Then the decouplers. And I think I'm going to put the engine first before the decouplers. And then that one fires. And finally, it's going to be a 6-stage rocket, and your last stage is going to be the parachute, just in case you re-enter. And that fires and saves your Kerbals. So I like this rocket. I'm going to name it the Bagel Mark 1. Good. Save it. Okay. Now, I think that's all I need, actually. Pretty simple design. It might look like overkill, but trust me, this is a good rocket. And it's unique to me. I made this design. I haven't seen it built by anybody else because I haven't looked. Maybe there are going to be a lot of other people who built this one. Alright, ready? Let's get this bad boy launched. About now, I think would be a good time to unleash your secondary engine. We're traveling at about 300 meters per second, but now is a good time to up that if you want to. So, I'm going to start that one up. Now, just before you decouple these first set of boosters, they're probably going to start overheating, and your rocket should sort of start turning red. There it is. Alright, now they're going to run out of fuel. So now's a good time to decouple them. Very clean break. Fall right off and you're good to go to space. So as you can see right now, we're floating at about 28 kilometers up, and we're starting to tilt, which is it's fine actually. I have no problem. I have no issue with this tilting right now. Actually, I may have an issue with this. Well, maybe not. Okay. We're going to aim this way at 254 degrees. And we're just going to start to kind of level out. You can see there our rocket's starting to go in a diagonal, and we want that because the Earth is a sphere, and, you know, it wouldn't make sense to go straight up to get in orbit. Oh, I think it's going to start playing our music soon. There it is. Awesome. Such a great feeling to get into orbit. Okay, now we're nearing 85 kilometers up, so we're going to start leveling out, because you want your orbit to be around 130, and this should probably, at 1500 meters per second, this should probably get us on a good course, headed straight for orbit. And yeah, right there. We're just going to level it right out. Eventually we'll stop going up. The forces of gravity will fight against us, because you are constantly falling, but you're falling in a circle, which is why that's essentially how orbit works. Okay, now let's go ahead and check out what our trajectory is in the orbit map. We're just going to run out of fuel quickly soon, so there you go. Now we're in orbit. Oh, that's cool. Okay, now obviously we have no use for that engine, so we'll check the orbit map first. Alright, as you can see here, we're going to need to continue to push out to get our orbit. We're just going to fall back to Earth eventually if we continue in this trajectory, so you can see here, it's just going to curve and it's going to go straight back down into Earth. And bam, or Kerbal, as it were. So obviously if we're still going to need to continue on our flight path, then we're going to need another engine. And that's where this one's going to come in. So you can see the stack decoupler flies right off, and in zero gravity it's absolutely no problem ditching that old rocket body. So now I think we're out of the safe zone, or out of the danger zone for launching that rocket, so oh, maybe not. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. Now we're just going to head this way exactly. And we're just going to burn until we're in a successful orbit. Let's see how that looks. Okay, you see how the circle's widening? That's because my velocity is speeding up. And as my velocity speeds up, I'm speeding my fall around the Earth. So as soon as this goes around the planet, this little area right here you can see expanding, that little dot, as soon as that moves around the planet, we have a successful orbit where we will not fall back into the gravitational pull or the atmosphere of Kerbal, and we are successfully in space. Obviously that's a goal that I've been trying to accomplish for a little while, and you know, it just feels good to have that. So let's look at that widen. Okay, it looks like we might have changed our trajectory a bit, so we're going to aim back up, because it does drift a little bit, and it just does that on its own. I think we're headed in this direction. Yeah, that looks about right. So let's keep her steady. Okay, I think we might have... Oh, yeah, I think we're in orbit. We've done it. There's an orbit. So I'm going to go ahead and shut off that engine to avoid losing any more fuel. And we're in space. I'm not 100% sure. There it is. There's the mun. Or however you pronounce it. But yeah, if you look at that there, we have our orbit, and we're never going to fall out of that orbit. It's not a perfect circle around the planet, but they are very difficult to come by. And I am still new at this game, so we're not going to attempt to try and make it perfectly around that planet. If it's a little bit further up on this side, like this side is at, you know, 37,300 or 337 337 kilometers? Yeah. And this one's at 138. So you can see it's definitely not a perfect circle around the Earth, following it perfectly, but it does, however, have a, you know, it works, basically. So now that we're in orbit, there's not much else we can do, because, well, you can either go to the moon or set up a space station, but we have neither of the parts to do those, so let's go ahead and fire our engine back up. And if we stay in this direction, we can hopefully combat the orbit. I'm going to have to be really good on this one, though, because it's tough sometimes to get it to fall out of orbit. Because you spent so much inertia building up to get this circle that it takes nearly as much to break that circle as well. So hopefully we can land somewhere on this continent. I'd like not to land in the water. That'd be nice. And not in the mountains either, because we want to make sure the atmosphere gives us a very level ground so that we can fall back down to Earth and not have to worry about things like hitting the mountain range before a parachute can deploy. Because that is a thing. It happens a lot. So you can see we're slowly slowing down. We're at about 1,500 meters per second right now, and we are definitely descending. That's good. We want that. And you can see here our trajectory as of now will put us down right around there. So I'm going to wait till it's about at here, and then I'm going to stop. I'm going to cut the engine so that if we need to, we can slow our descent with it and we'll still have fuel to do it. Not there, about here. As soon as that lines up, I'm cutting the engine again. Okay, I'm cutting the engine. So you can see on the Earth, this is where we're supposed to land. And if you look at Kerbal, that's about around, you know, right where the tip of the rocket is, right there. The nose is pointing to it. So we'll just let that fall. Maybe we'll speed it up just a tiny bit. Okay, we've begun our re-entry. Whoop, losing frame rate too. So now we're about, you know, gaining on the Earth, or Kerbal. We're still in orbit, but there's really no escaping the Earth's, or the Kerbal's atmosphere. I really have to stop saying Earth. Our engine won't start, but I figured this out. You have to press shift. So we'll stop that from turning into the mountains by hopefully... we're either going to overshoot them, or we're going to turn this way and push ourselves away from the mountains. Because I want to make sure we have a somewhat controlled descent. We're going to start burning up now. I called that. But it'll only last for so long. The reason that I want to get away from these mountains is because I want to give ourselves some time to slow down before our parachute deploys. That, of course, is the last stage we have. It's going to be close. This is why I don't like landing in the mountains. See? Normally, of course, that one exploded, but that is because we're in a higher altitude. If you look at this, it's definitely higher up in the surrounding area of Kerbal. It would have been much nicer to land by the ocean. I mean, we got pretty unlucky landing by the mountain range because, of course, there's a flat desert over here, and there's a grassland over here. So, yeah. That was, you know, all things considered, pretty good. But we don't do that here. That was a rational and logical rocket. And we don't do those. So let's go build something insane that I have harebrained schemes about hopefully working. Now, of course, that's ludicrous and nothing on this plane is going to work, but that's why it's going to be fun. Where did we go so wrong? Come on. Ah! It worked! I'm gonna call that working. Oh. Don't think I can call that working no more. Okay, so this may look bad, but I can fix it. Abort launch. Might be a bit late for that. Okay, that looks alright. So, I'll walk you through the plan of my genius. I made it one stage shorter, if you look right there. Okay, so it starts out. these are going to fire, and then these are going to drop, and then this is going to fire, and then these are going to fall off, these, you know, surrounding rockets, and then this whole thing is going to fall off, and then these are going to fire, and then these are going to get their own parachutes, and then once these run out of fuel, then they're going to fall off. It's happening! And then this is going to fall up, and these are going to deploy, and then this is going to fire, and then this is going to deploy, and I'm losing my mind with this rocket. Turned into a mad scientist. Oh dear. Oh dear. Just don't fall apart, please. Thank you so much. Oh, look at it. It's perfect. NASA should be taking notes. We don't need no mathematics. Y'all just need a heart. Okay. It's slow to build up inertia, but that's to be expected with a bigger rocket. You know, a bigger rocket means it's going to be a bit harder to get off the ground, but of course that's just how these things work, you know? I mean, it doesn't sadden me or worry me at all that, you know, I spent so much time building a rocket like this only to have it fall apart 3 times. Waste trillions in taxpayer dollars on a planet that, you know, nobody lives on except for this building complex, and that it still only travels at, you know, 75 meters per second. That doesn't bother me at all. And you know why that is? Is because I am a rocket scientist, and like all good rocket scientists know, we done messed up. Okay, now they get their parachutes. And we're just going to burn that. All that. That is a weird ash plume following our rocket. Okay. So, these are going to run out soon. Unfortunately, I have no idea how to control this thing. So, while those parts float comfortably to the ground, I shall spin out of control. I'm going to call this rocket a failure, just because it just could not live up to what I was hoping. Are those deployed? Yeah, those things have deployed their parachutes. Oh, that's funny. Oh. Oh. I think one landed. Yeah, one landed. Got the thrust. Max it there, cut it a little bit, max it, cut it. And it still explodes. Okay. Alright, well I guess that's going to do it for this episode of Kerbal Space Program. So if you liked the video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching. Peace.